podcast post-game breakdown, which is what we're all on the verge of. A breakdown caused by the Atlanta Falcons. They are the bane of all of our existence at this point, just as we started to feel a little bit better about the team and see them go in a positive direction.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a soapbox here, stand, and vent a little bit. But I'm willing to say after that game that the Saints are a better team than us right now. And I mean that from top to bottom. We got outcoached that game. We got outplayed that game. And we got out-schemed that game. We got out-rostered that game, mostly. The Saints won every single position battle on the field. Every single one. I love my Falcons. I do. I love this team. I love this roster. But we still have a lot of gaping holes in very important areas because what we saw today was a team that's capable of competing for a Super Bowl. And we showed our hand and showed who we actually are. As much as that hurts to say that, and as much as that really sucks, because the Saints are our rival. The Panthers they're a fun team to play. The Buccaneers we hate them because now they have Tom Brady, but the Saints are our rival. That's the biggest rival in this division. What'd you guys see? What'd you guys think? How do you feel? Are you okay? Do you need a hug?
We've been Falcons fans. Well, I don't know. I've been in Atlanta longer than both of y'all, so I've probably been a fan a little bit longer than both of y'all. So it sucks, but I kind of numb to the pain now. It's just I'm a Falcons and a Georgia fan, so I'm really really numb to failure and underachievement. So it is frustrating though. Julio's we're gonna talk about that a little bit, right?
That'll be the next thing we get into.
Yeah.
Marco, how do you feel? Well, actually, before I get to you, Marco, Micah, are you willing to say right now, as what we've seen, the Saints are a better team than us?
Overall, yeah, I think talent-wise, we still are more talented than them in a lot of key areas. But when you add coaching, like the scheme and all that, it's just it's not even close.
Marco, hold on one more second. Where are we more talented than them? Because I'm going through the checklist in my head. They have a better offensive line. They have a better defensive line. They have better linebackers. They have a better secondary. They have a better running back, stable. And I would say from a production standpoint, we may win wide receiver. And that's just a gentle push.
I think the receivers are better. Now, yeah, they're how do I want to approach this? Demario Davis is a beast at linebacker, but I think a lot of his effectiveness has to do with Dennis Allen's scheming. It's not necessarily just this dude. And like Quan Alexander, he was okay. Like I said, if when schemed properly, we've seen Debo and Foye do as much damage as Quan Alexander and Demario Davis have. But I mean, like this game, they were ready for everything that we threw at them. So it just made, and their offensive line is so good, it just made everything we did look, insignificant. I like I said, they're a better team, but I do think there are areas that we are as talented or potentially more talented, like at receiver. Our healthy receiver core is better than theirs. But I think, but a lot of a lot of their things come down to the little things, the execution, the play calling, the scheming, and that's where they're miles ahead of us. So it makes them look way better than they might actually be.
I could keep diving into that, but I want to get Marco involved here. Marco, what'd you see? How do you feel about the game? How do you feel?
I mean, it's just to say that it's not really a question whether the Saints are a better team than us. I mean, that's so obvious. It's not even. It's like a silly question, but like I don't know. What I will say is that I'd say even if Michael Thomas was hurt, if Alvin Kamara didn't play, they probably still would have beat us, because the way that Matt Ryan looked, it was just ridiculous. And I'd say like 70% of that has to do with just like, damn, man, they're blitzing like hell, man. Adjust, add some screens, do something. Like, don't just keep getting hit. And then the other 30% is Matt just holding the ball way too long and, not throwing it away, like, in things like that, when it's like very obvious that he should do that. But I'd say Taysom Hill's not good. Just from watching him, a lot of short balls. Our defense looked really bad. His athleticism got the best of us. Like, he could get to the edge. But the next game he plays, he's not going to look that good. And the fact that this was only a 2-score game, despite how bad we played, it's not positive for us, obviously. But I think that that's just me saying that even the Saints playing undermanned, they're still clearly a better team than us. And I think the game we could have done a lot of things to get back into this game, but it just, you can't take 8 sacks in a game. And
I want to follow up on something you just said, because I saw it a little bit differently there, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. So you said our defense played bad, and Taysom Hill is not a good quarterback.
It's not that they played bad. I just think that
I think they got left out on the field way too long.
Yeah, when Taysom, it still comes back to Taysom Hill not being elite or anything like that. I think, when they're out there way too long, they're bound to, slip up and, let him get the edge. But they just kept moving the ball, and I don't know, man.
Well, I didn't see anything that made Taysom Hill look bad. I didn't see. I was actually fairly impressed with. Well, he didn't look elite, no, but he didn't look bad.
I thought he essentially managed the game. He made the throws he had to make.
He made some good throws too.
Yeah, he made some good
All
ones.
those long throws were short as hell.
I mean, it was essentially it was like watching a Bama quarterback. The way Bama uses their quarterbacks, it's just, make the throws when we need you to, and if you got to take off, get positive yards, do what you have to. Now, granted, he's a lot more athletic than most Bama quarterbacks, but it was a safe game plan. And it's like, look for Michael Thomas on his slants and ends, because that's typically where you're going to find him. And if they're playing man, he's going to be open a lot. And that's what he did. He I think 75% of his completions went to Michael Thomas or something like that.
Which is a smart thing to do. I mean, when you've got a top 3 receiver in the league going against the secondary that's been in question all season, who actually I felt like did a really good job of covering Michael Thomas. A lot of his damage comes after the catch, and anything he had, it was catch and going down. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that in a second. But a lot of those throws on the ends, the comebacks on the outside, like he was throwing back shoulders. He put some touch on balls that needed to have some touch on the outside. I mean, yeah, he did underthrow 2 deep balls, but I mean, both of them technically were catches still.
I mean, I just don't think he's that impressive at all, and I don't think that he should have looked as competent as he did today. I
Well,
think that had a lot to do with our team.
I think our
But
offense gave him a ton of opportunity to get into rhythm.
yeah, and I think that they got away. Their offensive line got away with a lot.
Yeah,
There
they
were
definitely.
plenty of times where we put pressure, and you can clearly see our guys being held, and no
Grady
call.
got hooked all game.
Oh yeah,
All game. But you got to expect that when you go into a game with the reputation of, hey, this team doesn't get sacks. You're not going to get those calls. You're not going to get those looks. It's just it's human nature. That's why receivers who get a lot of calls in the NFL continue to get calls. That's why players in the NBA continue to get calls because the ref knows. But let's go to our offense because that's where I viewed a ton of our problems and I feel like was the main reason we lost the game. Let's start with not Matt Ryan, but let's go to Julio Jones. Julio played, if I had to guess, probably around 15 to 20 snaps this game after coming in with no injury designation. Was supposed to be a full go, was supposed to be healthy. He had a bye week to get healthy. And I heard the commentator say, oh, well, 2020, a lot of people were worried about soft tissues. We're now 9 games into the season. Like, you've had time to acclimate. You've had time to get your body ready and get into the NFL season. So I don't want to hear that excuse of, oh, well, it's 2020. Throw that shit out the window. That's loser talk right there. Like, when you have a guy who can't stay on the field, and it's been that way for 3 years now, who, when he is on the field, is dinged up and isn't giving you his best, it's time to start talking about, is he making too much money? Is Julio Jones making too much money for the amount of time that he is on the field? Marco.
Well, I think we all sort of thought that when they redrew that contract up for him after that dud of a season where he couldn't catch any touchdowns and then he held out. Remember that was the year that they gave him this big contract. It was after that, and we all sort of felt like, wow, Julio, really? Like, really, Julio, you're holding out after catching like so few touchdowns. But yeah, I mean, this is sort of it's sad, but it's what we've come to expect of Julio. Like, just like a freaking beast when he's actually on the field. Even when he's hurt, like, he's still our best receiver. But then it's like, you can't, I don't know, he's always one play away from limping off to the sideline. And then, or like a big drive, he gets us all the way to the 20-yard line, and then he doesn't come back in for the rest.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've debated with friends on this, and I said, while I love Julio, I do think that 20, no, I don't want to pay a receiver 20 plus million a year. I mean, it's too much because even look at a lot of the receivers who are making that. Michael Thomas has missed 2/3 of the season. So, it's Julio. He's had a lingering hamstring issue that just won't go away. He'll just be healthy enough to play through it, but it's just, it's always been there, and and he won't be 100% till the season's over, I guess. So, I mean, yeah, it's frustrating because our offense looks completely different when he's on the field than when he's not on the field. Everything is open. When he's on the field, everybody else can get open. And I mean, and he's good enough to get open too. But when he's not on the field, teams legitimately are disrespectful because they're like, we don't fear anybody on your offense outside of him. So
yeah, Ridley, I mean, Ridley has his flashes, but I still don't think he's definitely not tier 1 receiver yet.
No, he's like tier 1.8.
Yeah.
Like, he has the talent. He has all the talent that he needs his hands, the like that jumping catch he made where he came back to that ball. I mean, it's hell of impressive. Even late in the game, he got that one where he pretty much snatched it out of the dude's hands. He has all those plays, but it's just something about I always sort of knocked his route running, because I feel like he tries to ad lib a lot, like that Ocho Cinco type of thing, and then B, I don't know, he like Micah said, they don't double him, they don't they'll let him go one-on-one with a DB, and which Julio from day one, that was never the case, like ever.
Well, I mean, even that was the fourth down play that Julio caught it late in the game, and then came out right after.
Right.
He had bracket coverage. Marcus Williams was sitting over. Was it PJ or Marcus? Which one is free safety for them?
Marcus,
yeah. Marcus was sitting over the top to help. I forgot which corner was covering him. Oh, Patrick Robinson. Patrick Robinson in coverage on him. Yeah, and it's like, so, dinged up Julio is still drawing double coverage because how dangerous he can be. So, I mean, versus, Ridley, it's just like, yeah, they get up on Ridley, they get up in Ridley's face, they're real physical with them because they know, they're just kind of like, oh, this guy, he's good, but we can beat him.
Yeah, and I want to say a lot of things that made Ridley just a deadly threat in college we've never been able to use here, because Ridley is an excellent deep ball receiver. He's got so much speed to just break a defense wide open, and we can't do that. We just can't. We can't get a ball deep to him. I mean, we'll throw it to OZ deep all the time. We'll occasionally try Julio, but it seems like, and I want to blame this on scheme, but I also want to blame it on, the most obvious thing is that's a weak-armed quarterback. We don't throw the ball deep to Julio or Ridley nearly as much as you see us throwing deep to our, Gage or OZ or anyone else on our wide receiver core. So it's
that Hail Mary at the halftime that hurt my shoulder watching Matt.
God, I mean, and I get that in that circumstance, in a Hail Mary circumstance, you want to loft the ball and drop it into the end zone. You can't throw it in there with that many guys in the end zone or on the goal line. But he didn't even make it into the end zone.
Right.
He didn't even make it into the end zone. He had all the time in the world. So speaking of Matt Ryan, let's discuss his performance in this game. And I want to start with Marco. You mentioned 30% of the sacks were on Matt Ryan. I want to go back and watch, but I would be willing to say of the 8 sacks?
Yeah,
8 or 9. It was 8.
I would be willing to wager that at least 6 are on him, if not all, because I don't recall a time in that game as when someone came screaming in, except for DeMario on that delayed blitz. So I'll take that one off Matt's plate.
Well, he still had time to make a decision.
Yeah, he had time to throw it away or do something. They were squeezing the pocket, for sure.
They squeezed the pocket, but also you had got. I mean, on that third down, I think it was, when they kept showing Hayden Hurst ran like a little dig route and sat down underneath the safety. I mean, he gave you the entire right side of his body to put the ball back onto it, or just throw it at his feet. And that, from there, it goes from 9-10 to 12-10. We now take a lead. But no, Matt Ryan takes a sack. We get pushed back to the 50, and it would have been like a 65-yard field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the Matt Ryan that everyone hates. This is the Matt Ryan that all those people are like, oh, get rid of him. He's trash. He's trash. He's trash. This is the one that I will agree with you. If this is the Matt Ryan we're going to continue to get, he does have to go. But I don't know, man. I've flip-flopped on Matt so much this season. But I think we've seen enough of the bad parts of him this year that it's like the future can't be this anymore. It can't. He's gotten to the point to where even when there's not pressure, he still dances way too much. He pats the ball too much. He double clutches. He doesn't trust his arm. He just doesn't. He knows his arm is weak, and he knows the windows that he can't get into. Because there were several times on a lot of those sacks, they were like, "Oh, they were. Everyone was covered." I'm like, "No, that dude's running across to the left. Throw it out in front of him. Let him go get it. That guy's running across to the right. Front up. Like all their corners were in trail position. All of them. They were playing press and bail. They were playing press and trail. Like it was there all game if you just had the arm strength to fit it into windows.
Even that on that first field goal that we settled for, he tried to go for the end zone when there was an open drag right across the middle of the field for the first down. I just think Matt Ryan misses so much stuff. Like I don't know what it is. Like you said, maybe it's confidence in his arm, but then I don't even get that because a lot of the stuff he misses is the easy stuff that Tom and Drew Brees hit, like even Teddy Bridgewater hit like clockwork. You know what I mean? It's just like, check down, bro. Like be quicker. Like, because they were mentioning in the game that what's his name? Why can't I think of his name right now? Their main lineman who sacked.
Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan. He was like, "Oh yeah, quarterbacks usually take 2.68 seconds to get rid of the ball, blah blah blah." And he was like breaking down the math. And I'm watching Matt. Matt like takes like 3 seconds, 4 seconds every play. It's like he's never quick. He never makes quick decisions.
Like Cam Jordan, I mentioned in the chat earlier. Cam Jordan was eating McGarry's lunch all day. He was physically outmatched on that side, but he wasn't giving up quick pressure.
Yeah,
like Matt had time. Cam Jordan's a big, strong defensive end. I think we mentioned this on the podcast. And for those of you on YouTube right now that don't listen to our podcast, you can catch us weekly on any of your streaming services. We are Fish and Grits, the podcast. But I had mentioned that the Saints operate in a way with their defensive line. They don't go like with the small, 240, 250-pound defensive ends. They go speed. They go big across the board. Their ends typically are about between 260 and 280. And I think that's right where Cam Jordan falls. I believe he's about 265, 270. Trey Hendrickson's pushing 280. And then they put big guys in the middle who are athletic. So they're going to push your pocket. They're going to do it, especially against a zone team like us who throw out offensive linemen that are about 300, high 290s to 310 is about the max you'll see on our line. So, of course, they're going to push it. But Matt has to know that. He has to know that these guys are going to be in his lap. He has to be ready for that. You see the elite quarterbacks week in and week out either sit in the pocket and still get the ball out. You actually saw Taysom Hill do that in this game. On the times where we got pressure, he stood there, he took the pressure, and he still delivered it. But you also see them escape and boot out to the right, boot out to the left. Wherever that collapse is coming from, you get up above them and back outside. You don't see Matt do that. He'll sit there and he'll wait 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 and he'll double clutch and then down he goes. Or he'll just trip over a ghost that's on the ground, like you saw him do about 2 times this game. Go for it, Micah.
Here's the thing. And, I've always, I get a lot of grief from y'all because I've always been the most harsh on Matt Ryan, critique of Matt Ryan. And, I'm very cautious because I don't want to say he's trash because I don't believe that. I believe he's a good quarterback, but what has always separated him from the Bradys, the Breezes and stuff like that is his decision making. There were like of those 8 or however many sacks they had, the vast majority of them were coverage sacks. There was pretty good coverage downfield, but there were times where there were receivers who had 3 steps on the cover guy, and it's like, all right, you got a window, he just would just hold it, or if like there were legitimately some plays where no one was open, but in that scenario, it's just all right. Instead of taking the sack, he'd step up in the pocket, then freeze, and then the pocket would completely collapse on him, and then it's like, throw it at a receiver's feet, something, do like that. And that's what Brady and Breeze do well is if it's nothing there, I'm just gonna throw it away, live to fight another down, and you don't put yourself in an even worse position. Versus him, it's like I gotta make a play. I gotta make a play. I gotta make a play. Crap, sack. And another thing, like Marco, you talked about the check downs and stuff like that. I think most quarterbacks, they look for they make their first read based off of, well, most good quarterbacks make their first read based off of what the coverage they see. And it's like with him, he might see all out blitz and he's looking deep. And it's like, no. Try to look to get rid of the ball. Look to see if you got like a running back in the flats going up against a linebacker who can't run with them or something. Look for an easy way to get rid of the ball so you don't have to take a hit. But and another thing is, one of the other things that frustrates me, it's like if you see Matt, if you're at the line of scrimmage, you see a play is not going to work, you're not going to have enough time for a play to work against the defense they're running, like audible, man.
He checked out of several plays, but I feel like the ones he checked into just
weren't any better.
Yeah, because he was checking all game long.
Well, I mean, but was he checking or was he trying to make line adjustments?
Because he was out to the receivers.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Check with me. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, bro, I just it's frustrating because like this is, like I said, I've gone back and forth with a lot of people on this. I don't think he's trash, but you look at his numbers and you see this Hall of Fame quarterback, but when I see him on film, it's just like there's so much more to be desired from a guy with that kind of those kind of numbers. It's like, dude, you don't play like you have 55,000 yards of passing.
Yeah, and so this actually leads us to the next point. Well, let me say this first. Matt doesn't throw receivers open. He just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing a team like the Saints, who's bringing pressure and playing man coverage with solid man coverage corners, you're going to have to throw your guys open. You're going to have to make those throws. I mean, that play where Foye was on Jared Cook, granted Foye did grab him, but Taysom threw him open.
Yeah.
He threw that back shoulder to him. And then he came back and attacked Sheffield and threw him open again.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's the thing that drives me crazy. Like, 9 times out of 10, especially this year, I will say that in the past, in Matt's early part of his career, he did throw some guys open from time to time. But now it's the receivers are adjusting to your throw most of the time now, more so than you are throwing them open.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a large problem of this game is Matt did not have a lot of big open windows, which he seems about the only thing he'll throw into, or he'll throw into double coverage because he doesn't see a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is the play calling this game. Dirk Cutter, that was, in my opinion, game of the season. There was no rhythm to it. There was no reason to a lot of his play calls. And it didn't seem like Dirk Cutter was paying attention, honestly, to the game, because every third down you knew they were coming out, splitting their ends out wide, putting a big old tackle over Mac and sitting those linebackers down and blitzing. Or they would do that, drop one linebacker back and come off the edge with your corner. It was that every time. And they were just pressing. And what did we do in response? We went 5 wide. We gave Matt even less time, even less protection. I mean, what? If they're pressing and they're successfully pressing all game, and you don't have your best receiver who beats press coverage in the game, I want to curse so bad, but I want to keep this safe for YouTube. Why the hell were you not protecting your receivers with your formation?
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect these guys like OZ, like Gage, Christian Blake, to go out and beat man coverage and give Matt time to throw it to him. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand it. It baffles me. It shuts my brain off, and I start talking like this. I don't understand why we did not come out in bunch formations, why we didn't come out in snugs, why we didn't come out in formations to where you can hide your smaller receivers and give them free releases. Put guys in motion. Put multiple guys in motion. Throw the tunnel screen. Throw a wide receiver screen. Throw a tight end screen. You love screens. This is the perfect time to do it. And you don't do it.
No, just take these sacks real quick.
So Matt was to blame for most of the sacks, but also a contributing factor was Dirk Cutter's ineptitude as an offensive coordinator.
Right. I think when I said that the 70-30 thing, I mean, like, yeah, Matt on the field, of course, I say he's responsible for all the sacks, but I think not shifting his mindset to a place where it's like, okay, listen, Matt, like we need to, but that's on Dirk, because Dirk would never be the one to make a crazy adjustment or any adjustment at all in a game, to get him out of that, like, afraid for his life. Because, like, as you said in the first quarter, he doesn't look comfortable at all. And that just got worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. It didn't get better. You know what I mean? So as an offensive coordinator, when you see that your quarterback is not comfortable, you help him. You know what I mean? You do something different. You don't just keep on, and the fact that he was audibling so much at the line, it just showed he was trying to do something, but it's like nothing was, I don't know. It's a lot of things, but yeah, Dirk, I give Dirk 70% just because those safe things to help your fledgling quarterback just weren't built in.
I mean, what else can I say? Dirk is Dirk. I mean, this is nothing new. Dirk Cutter was one that always loved screens, but the more and more he's tried to learn what's called Shanahan's playbook, it's like the less and less he goes from against the good tendencies he actually had against that scenario. It's like, I know Shanahan's playbook has screens. Sometimes it's okay to use them. It's okay to use them from time to time. It's. I think, like I said, I think who is it? Was it Tom Brennan or whatever? One of them said they talked about how they said we're a vertical passing game. And I mean, that honestly, that's what it looked like. It was like we were trying to eventually find a chunk play or something. I don't know whether Dirk is overly confident in these, in like Gage, Blake, and Ozzy or what, and you just feel like, oh, I don't have to help them out off the line. They're all good. Or you're just arrogant enough to think just like, we're good enough regardless, man. We're just gonna make this work. But it's just like, dude, he can make a bad situation a whole lot worse with his mindset. It's just like, dude, you're watching a completely different game than what the entire fan base is watching. And the sad thing is you're getting paid to do that. And versus like us on our couches are like, hey, they're blitzing, they're pressing, stack your receivers, bunch your receivers, do something. Or let's start incorporating some screens, keep them honest. Nope. I get paid. I'm the one who gets paid to make this decision, so I'm going to do what I want to do. And you fail almost every time.
In this situation as well, I mean, I know the Saints have two really good cover linebackers, and they have Malcolm Jenkins, but Malcolm Jenkins was split out most of the time on Ridley on important possessions or important downs. And Demario or Quan was blitzing while the other one was dropping back and covering Hayden. So what you had is a great opportunity to use one of Todd Gurley's best skills, and that's his ability to receive the ball, to be a receiving back. And this is 100% on Dirk Cutter. Through these 9 games in the season, Todd Gurley has 15 receptions for 79 yards.
Oh my God.
They're just not using Todd Gurley the right way. They're using him like a power back mainly. They're not utilizing his ability to just absolutely destroy linebackers and safeties in coverage. An excellent receiving back. He's not Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey good, but he's probably the next tier down. And we're just not using that.
Well, I mean, we have a slew of running backs who can catch the ball out the backfield.
Ito.
And very, very rarely do they actually get the receptions. Now, granted, I mean, I get Ito's primarily a receiving back. So if he comes in the game, people are going to look for it. But at the same time, you can still use him.
Ito's actually a very good runner.
Hell, split back. You can run split backs and use and really confuse them and run 2 backs, and you can run them on different routes and stuff. But it's plenty of creative ways to incorporate to attack linebackers and keep teams who like to blitz their linebackers to keep them honest by using the running backs in the passing game. But I mean, Dirk Cutter he's possibly one of I don't know. He's one of the least creative offensive coordinators I've ever seen.
I'd say that the only time you ever see him setting up Gurley, which I really haven't even seen him hit Ito with any kind of passes this year, but all the times that you see him set up Gurley, it's always with those those passes that are like 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then Matt always throws them high, and then they never really turn into anything, as opposed to like something that's going more downhill as to how they use like Kamara, or I mean just how the whole Saints freaking offense operates. It's like, but yeah, I mean, even Dirk Cutter has always been bad, but even this is like setting a standard for like, wow, like this is the worst I've ever seen. Even him,
inept.
Yeah.
Absolutely inept. I mean, part of what made, and it's really at this point, I hate doing this, but when you're running the same scheme, you have the majority of the same people, you have the same quarterback. You have to be able to go back and reference the time to when it was working. So 2016, one of the things that made this offense so deadly was the ability to pass the ball to running backs. And you still have that. You do. You have multiple running backs that can receive the ball. And if you want to get really creative, throw Hayden Hurst back there. He's quick enough. I mean, use him as a receiver out of the backfield. And I remember hearing last week, the week before last, when we played who did we play before we went into the break?
Carolina.
Yeah, I believe it was the Panthers. They had mentioned, Hayden Hurst is really a deep threat, but Atlanta's really just started using him on passes to the flats and to the sideline. And it's like, I wonder whose fault that is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Dirk Cutter, like, I saw a lot of people on Twitter and on Instagram overreacting and saying, I don't think Raheem Morris should be a candidate anymore for head coach. I'm not ready to say that because I still like a lot of the things that he's done. I really like what he and Ulbrich have done for the defense altogether. But the biggest problem on this team now is Dirk Cutter. And Dirk Cutter is a decision of Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn picked Dirk Cutter for some reason. Thought, that guy that failed here once and then just went down to Tampa Bay and failed again. He's the guy to lead this offense to the promised land.
After Sarkisian had put in like a decent season.
Right.
Well, here I think here's what I think it is. I think you saw the numbers and the offensive production that came out of Tampa, because Tampa had great numbers. Jameis had turnover issues, and it's like, all right, well, You know, if we got a quarterback who won't turn the ball over, so can we bring those same numbers here? I think that's the thinking, but you know, realistically, like I said, you're not asking him to call his own playbook. You're asking him to call someone else's playbook, which already puts you behind the 8 ball because that's not what he does. He doesn't specialize.
Why can't we use Dirk Cutter's playbook?
Oh, because they don't want to relearn everybody's.
Well, yeah, that's one reason. But why couldn't we use his playbook here?
Oh, well,
because it's a vertical-based offense.
Yeah.
And you don't have the personnel for it. So what you did is you took a square peg and went, why no work?
I mean, I get it. Like I said, but like I said, my thing was, I think the thinking was you saw the numbers that the production that offense put up, like the, you know, first in passing offense, third in total offense, and you thought, well, you know, we got a quarterback who's better with the ball. But I mean, like I said, like you said, it's a square peg in a round hole. And you, like I said, you forcing him to call something he can't do, and you're seeing it fail. So now it looks like you're seeing the repercussion to the, I guess, like the bad decision.
Didn't he get fired like 12 games into the season last year?
No,
or did he finish the whole season?
It was the whole season, yeah.
Yeah, he did the whole season.
I mean, but I get what you're saying, Micah. But the part of the reason that they had those offensive numbers is because Dirk Cutter was calling Dirk Cutter's offense, and he had a quarterback that fit that system. Jameis is a strong arm quarterback that throws a very accurate and pretty deep ball, and he had receivers to do it with. Because Godwin was still young, so he hadn't stepped up, but he had Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson. He had OJ Howard. Yeah. I mean, it was tailor-made for his type of offense. So what I'm trying to say is it's just another Dan Quinn fail to look at personnel and scheme and not know how to manage it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're saying the same thing. I'm just, I'm just making a different part of the argument, though. Like I said, I just think he was hopeful, but it didn't work.
Yeah. Okay. No real point to do grades unless y'all want to for the units and the team, because I think we're all going to give an F.
I mean, I wouldn't give the defense an F. I thought the defense battled, but I mean,
no, I mean, it's an overall grade.
Oh yeah. But
Young Wei Koo gets a plus.
He scored 100% of our points.
My frustration though is, with Falcons fan base, I know a lot of Falcons fans are gonna, the defense gave up big plays and stuff like they're gonna find a way to put it on the defense. And it's like, but when does the offense take responsibility for their lack of production? Because if the offense produced at all, even if we didn't score, even if we got nothing but field goals, if they were more efficient, converting first downs and stuff like that, it would have been a completely different game. Mm-hmm. And like we actually, like, their run game wasn't really effective until late in the third, early fourth quarter, and when the defense had been in the field so long that they just finally start missing tackles and stuff like that. We shut down most of what the only thing that they were doing was they were getting chunk plays from Michael Thomas, moving the chains, and then they tried a couple of deep balls that the receiver made plays on, and that their receivers made plays on. That was it. That was pretty much their offense. So, it was, and then late in the game, after the defense got tired, then they started running it down our throat. So it's it's offense. Offense has to be better.
Yeah, I mean, you can't with a unit that's already thin, just because of injuries and releasing tack and all these type of things. You can't put it on them to, be out there for 33 minutes, really. The time of possession doesn't look as bad on paper because of the first half. But in the second half, when the offense, I think halfway through the third, we had -1 yards in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, going into the fourth, we had -1. So, I mean, that was multiple 3-and-outs, and interceptions and things like that. The offense has to do their job in giving the defense time to rest, and they just didn't. And they didn't keep the Saints offense off the field long enough. And then they caught their rhythm, and the rest was history. That's when you just saw Taysom start to take over and Kamara start to take over. But as a whole, I will agree that the defense is gonna get drugged this week, and they're in an undeserved manner.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like I don't think, despite how bad we played, there was never really a time when we were like just out of this thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we were always in striking distance. It's just that our offense was just such a big zero. And the reason we were always in striking distance is because of the effort that our defense gave. Like they gave us an opportunity to come in, at least be within a touchdown or win this game. But, Matt was just like, well, let me just run out here and get sacked real quick. And, it was just, the defense, I mean, I'd give them like a C+, even a B-. Like I think they did what they could do. They did what they could do.
I still think, Raheem and Ulbrich are doing an excellent job with this defense. Because, you've seen a complete turnaround with them.
Oh, yeah. That secondary did not look terrible.
Mm-mm.
And, they were even the catches they gave up, they were still in good position. And like you said, Michael Thomas is one of those receivers who short routes and can gash you after catch. And whether it was AJ or whoever, Denard, whoever, when he caught the ball, he went down.
Yeah.
So
I would really like us to see re-sign Denard for next year.
Yeah.
He's played excellent in this time. And AJ is a promising young corner. Once he gets, he starts learning the route trees better and gets a little more confidence up under him, he's going to be a real problem at corner, a real problem. And his ability to play the run game is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about? Anything you want to talk about in the game? Anything you want to say?
I think it's funny that Aaron Rodgers is rocking this like emo Beatles haircut with his hair like swooshed down in front of his face, like through his helmet. It's like, it's like what? He's going through a lot of things this season.
I hope Foye isn't hurt seriously, because that would be.
He looked all right.
He came back in, did he?
Well, he walked off field. I don't know if he came back in though.
I think he played a couple more plays.
Well, I think that was their last drive. So, yeah, I can't remember. It saw one big blur in that facet. But
all right,
one big blurry suck fest.
I'm gonna end this stream with a quote by Matt Ryan that will just want to make you go scream into a pillow. Our responsibility as an offense is to score points and to score touchdowns. If you don't shut your ass up.
He ain't never lied.
Was the quote?
That was the quote. It's like, yeah, because they were asking him, what were the problems with the game? Where did you, see things going wrong? And that was his answer. It's like, I know, and it's your fault.
Right. Let's like go back to day one, and let's learn to throw the ball away, and let's learn to.
That was like one of those Dan Quinn empty, like.
We're mad as hell.
We're really ticked off right now. we just didn't hit our mark.
I know I took 8 sacks and didn't throw it to a lot of the guys when they were open, and threw it to the other team 2 times. But it's our job to score points and score touchdowns. I know that's what we expect of you.
The second pick was terrible. A slant, and you threw it so far in front of Ridley, it was right to the corner. It's like, bro, what are you doing?
4 picks. There really should have been like 4 picks in that game.
The very first drive, that should have been a pick. All right. Anyway, let's not go into that, because that's a long subject. Like I said, we are Fish and Grits, the podcast. We are available on all streaming platforms. You can find us on here every either Sunday, Monday, or Thursday after a Falcons game, and more than likely a Falcons loss.
Go ahead and assault that like button real quick and hit that subscribe.
Assault it.
Sack that. It's apropos. Sack that like button.
Oh, all right, guys. I am Ryan Dollar. This is
Marco.
And this is
Micah.
All right, y'all. Take it easy.